Center tonight as the Philadelphia Flyers defeat the Edmonton Oilers in fine fashion. And Bri, you mentioned the term earlier about McDavid. What was the term you used after the first? Was contained him?
Yeah, maybe sounds right.
But it's exactly what they did.
Mitigate?
They didn't let him. That was my term.
Okay.
Don't start taking credit for the big words.
I couldn't remember. I just know somebody said it.
Yes. Now you're taking credit for my expanded vernacular. See how I threw that one at you? But anyway, no, the Flyers, they did a really good job against McDavid once again in this game, and they frustrated him. They did not allow him or Draisaitl to beat them. And they said, okay, make your other guys beat us. And they went out there and they executed. And it was, to me, really the storyline of the game was the fundamental hockey that they played. Yeah. And usually at this time in October 19th, like today is, we don't see a whole lot of fundamental hockey.
No. Usually you're still trying to figure some things out. There were some things last year that the Flyers were still trying to figure out in December. And I think it just goes to show you how much last season was a foundation for starting this whole thing. It's not like it's starting now. It didn't start this summer with Danny Briere coming out and saying it in May, or with Keith Jones being hired to run the hockey operations. It started last year, and you can see that now with this team and how they're playing in a system. They're playing the way that John Tortorella teams play, and that's the result you get when you're able to contain a team like that. Now, for me, the big test will be, can they get to the point where they can contain a team like that when they're on the road and they don't have the as easy a choice of matchups as they did tonight. But for now, you're definitely going to build off of this game and the Vancouver game as you head out on this road trip.
Yeah, well, a very good first multi-game homestand. You outscore your opposition 6-1. You out execute them. You get timely, and I think one of the things that'll get lost in this game tonight, it was the goaltending of Carter Hart, because I think he was excellent in the game. Tim Saunders just sent me this. I said, if you didn't hear this on the broadcast, he said this. He said, let's assume for a second they don't add another shot total in this game. Sometimes that happens the day after, but it's only the second time in 89 games that Connor McDavid was held without a shot on goal.
Yeah. I mean, that's
two times in 89 games.
Yeah, that's the kind of player he is, right?
Whoa.
And, again, I obviously I don't think the other one was on the Flyers here last year, but they neutralized him last year too in this building, and so they've got something figured out there, and it's something that they want to try to apply to the rest of the league. All right, it's not just a matter of, okay, here we're good against McDavid. Let's figure out how we can play like this against every team in the league. And 2 games is an awful small sample size, but we're seeing a lot of promising things here. I don't need to see Owen Tippett score 40 goals if he's going to pass like that. I mean, my goodness. I mean, it's again,
tremendous.
I think we saw it a little bit in the games before this one, but he connected this time. There's a lot of good things here going on, I think.
There's a guy over here behind me that was on the ice for the game tonight.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me how Noah Cates won 11 draws and only lost 4? That's 73.3%.
It is. And he won most of those against Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He went 1-for-1 against McDavid the last time I looked. It's just a very good thing to see, because you've got multiple options again when you're trying to defend against a team like this. He ended up excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong side of the ledger here. He ended up going 5-9 against Nugent-Hopkins, but perfect against everybody else.
Yeah,
Vander Kane, Draisaitl, Janmark, McDavid. I mean, those guys aren't bad.
Yeah. And Lawton goes 10 for 15 as well, and wins 5 losses.
And again, that's another spot where, okay, these center position. I mean, Lawton is not really playing center right now, but he is coming in and taking a lot of draws and being able to slot them against different lines. When Lawton had to move up against everybody's first line, his face-off numbers dipped, but now everybody's back in place. He can slot down. As I'm looking here, the number that just jumps out at me, though, in the third period of the game, the Oilers were trailing heading into the third period. The Flyers outshoot them 17-4.
Yeah,
I mean, that is
putting a team away.
impressive.
Yeah.
Normally you've got to batten the hatches and you've got to try to withstand the other team's onslaught when you're going into with a situation like that. But they not only did that, they didn't let them get anything going. And that's a pretty good number there.
Especially when you expect a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
We saw that in the Vancouver game in that second period. What they outshot them 23-3 in the second period. I mean, that's how. Those are the traits of teams that are winners,
right?
And when you're able to do that, Couturier led the way offensively for this team minutes-wise again, 1956. How about a +3 in the game, 2 assists, 2 shots on goal, played 2 minutes and 14 seconds shorthanded and 5 minutes and 10 seconds on the power play. All situations player. Frankly, I'm stunned at where he is.
Yeah,
what he's been able to do already.
And we thought we said after the road trip, we're just glad he's healthy. You could tell that he had some rust, but there was nothing in his game that was like, oh, I can't take so many face-offs. I can't play so many minutes because of my back's still bothering me. That's not happening at all. So everything that he can could do before, he's doing it again now, and that's great to see. The fact that he's been off for, we talk about Atkinson too, but Coots was shut down for 15 months. Cam was trying to come back. He's practicing occasionally, yada yada yada. For Coots,
and Couturier hasn't played in 21 months.
Yeah, something plus. Like that. Yeah. So it was it's great to see, and you're seeing why the notion was there that this team is vastly improved just by returning those two to the lineup. Last year when a lot of people thought the sky was falling and stuff, part of it was those two guys weren't there, and just them being back is markedly improving the outlook.
If I look at Travis Sanheim in this game, ends up with +2 and an assist in 20 minutes and 19 seconds, you go, okay, that's good. Well, that's 20 minutes and 19 seconds of even strength ice time. He ended up, all said and done, after 4 minutes and 17 seconds of power play time and 2:27 on the PK, with 27 minutes and 3 seconds. You're not going to find more minutes in any game that he's played beyond a marathon playoff game, which I don't think he's been in.
Right.
So that's probably the most ice time he's ever seen in an NHL game. It's almost half the game.
Yeah.
Frankly.
It's when you
35 shifts.
When you again evaluate that situation, and again, this is exacerbated by Mark Stahl having to exit, and we hope he's okay. And we
weird collision.
Yeah, it was a very strange collision. It looked like something with his arm or his wrist he was favoring, but the fact that he can come out and that happened with 4 minutes left in the second, something like that. The fact that the Flyers still held them at bay to the way they did, the 17-4 in the third with only 5D. That's another thing to look at and be like, wow, that's pretty impressive. You talk about Sanheim, and right underneath in our ledger here is Cam York at 26:30. That's probably a career high.
Oh yeah,
if I had
no
guess,
question.
Without looking it up, but and even Sean Walker at 22:34. That's a big number for him. So those guys absorbed that well, and now we'll see. Flyers are technically down 2 defensemen right now. Ristolainen's not been on
2 left shot.
He's
or one's right shot.
He is. They didn't put him on season opening IR, did they?
They did. It was retro though.
Was it season opening or regular?
I think it was regular, and it was retro. He could come back.
It's retroactive, but I'm just wondering if he's technically on the roster. I believe he is. So they're down 2 defensemen, but they still have 6 here. So it's not something to worry about too much right now. But
and if Stahl can't go, Zamula's sitting right there.
Exactly.
He's played 2 good games.
We'll have to wait and see if they have to call somebody up for this trip, because you can't wander out west like that with 6 healthy D. You've got to have somebody along for the ride. So
it's not exactly around the corner in Dallas and Vegas.
Yeah. So we'll see there. But again, the fact that they were able to adapt and rotate and absorb all these minutes here in that last period, that's also a really nice thing to see.
Let's get to the BetRivers.com highlight reel. We start in the first period. The only goal of the first period, it comes off the stick of a Flyer at 15:50 when Joel Farabee, off a beautiful feed from Bobby Brink, picks up his second of the season. And Sanheim sets up that play with a tail whip of the stick in the neutral zone. And then Farabee to Brink back to Farabee. And it's in the back of the net as they crisscross. And the Flyers go up 1-0. Pick it up in the second period. 3:54 in. This play I just talked to Owen Tippett about it here on tomorrow's Flyers Daily. And when we talked about it, the second intermission, Cam Atkinson driving the net with that target of the blade of the stick out there. Owen Tippett hits him. It's Cam Atkinson's second of the season to give the Flyers a 2-0 lead. And Brian, so much of that is caused by the excellent straight line skating of Owen Tippett to cause the turnover from Bouchard.
Yeah, and then the I don't know what we call it in the business deception, but the pump fake or whatever you would call it in layman's terms to get away and create the space once he had it. That was what really set it up. I mean, he was in jail and then he broke out. So that is again I that and the next highlight that we're going to hear somewhere down the line here, Atkinson's next goal. I mean, everybody looks at Owen Tippett as a power forward, scoring a ton of goals, stuff like that, and he started to show that last year. But all of a sudden, wow, we've got a playmaker here too.
Yeah, absolutely. Edmonton does get the next one when Zach Hyman picks up his second of the season. McDavid gets a secondary assist on it. No shot on goal, but he does get a secondary assist along with Cody Ceci. So we pick it up at 18:29. And this time the Flyers are shorthanded. We know about the vaunted power play of the Edmonton Oilers set NHL records last year and what they can put on the ice. You don't want to even take penalties against them. But the Flyers reverse the course here, and they get a shorty against this power play when Sean Walker picks up his first as a Flyer. Just a smart play by Sean Couturier to stick the stick in the lane. McDavid delivers it right to his blade. Couturier collects, steals to Walker, and beats Soupy Campbell.
And oh, by the way, every Campbell in the history of the league, right, been known as Soupy. Yeah. That's a standard. That's a standard. It was almost like I'd have to go back and look at it. It was almost like McDavid either didn't get everything on that pass, like it slipped away from him, or he was just trying to flutter something.
Yeah, he tried to sauce it right over his blade.
He tried to sauce it and didn't get it off the ground because it wasn't like a lot of times you get a stick in a lane and get it on the puck, and the puck just ricochets wherever. It was like he passed.
Yeah,
so, that was what started it. So that's a great heads up play by Couturier to make that happen.
And that's Couturier's first assist of the game. He's got another one in the bag coming, though. At 4:17 of the third period, this rounds out the scoring, and the Flyers go on to win by this final score. Cam Atkinson at 4:17 picks up his third of the season. Great finish from Atkinson there. Owen Tippett, Sean Couturier with the assist. We've got some, the finish there by Atkinson to open up Campbell the way he did. He opened him up like a soup can. Like a can opener.
That was a reach. Yeah. Again, it's it's Tippett bearing down to get that puck through the D. I don't know who the defenseman was, but he had to get that through some traffic in order to get it to Atkinson.
There was an easier play he could have made. There was. Couturier was going right up the right side of the ice with tons of ice in front of him, but he opted to thread the needle to Atkinson, and that's just a confident play by Owen Tippett because I looked at it at first and said, "Oh yeah, you just headman the puck to Couturier. He's going down the right side now, and it'll be almost a 2-on-1, 1.5, if you will." But instead, he threads the needle to Atkinson, and he goes in on the breakaway and opens him up and scores.
I mean, I think sometimes, and again, I'm not saying that Tippett doesn't have confidence in Couturier, but you know how sometimes it's like, you're just kind of in tune with a guy, and you just you try to find each other on the ice, and I think we see a lot of that with with Konechny and Lawton on the penalty kill sometime. Sometimes you're just dialed in and you want to find that one guy, and he got it through.
It's making the play that gives you a better chance to score. We saw it in the first goal too. Brink gets that pass from Farabee, and Brink can fire that right off there on the wing. Mm-hmm. But instead, he goes back, and now Farabee's firing it into a wide open net. Yeah, and it's a guaranteed goal.
Right, exactly. Like you said, the probability there. I mean, he had a good shooting angle, but Campbell had moved over, and he had a good chunk of the net covered because of that shooting angle being being off to the side a little bit. And the presence of mind to put that puck back under there is, again, that's pretty remarkable. Now, the funny thing is, that's why you have to be careful when you evaluate stuff like that. That if that D gets the stick down to the ice and blocks it, everybody's like, "Why didn't he shoot?" Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that still, I think, was a great, a really savvy thought to make that play. And I would have thought that if the puck didn't get through either. So it's good to see him with the confidence to try that at the NHL level already.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't almost offense; it turned in. To guaranteed offense, and the Flyers get the win. 4-1 is the final. They outshoot Edmonton in the game 33-23. Really good shot suppression, good numbers there. Edmonton did have some good opportunities. Carter Hart once again just gives up just the one goal, but he was tremendously sharp in the game. And the Flyers will head back out on the road Saturday against Dallas, 8:00. We'll have all your coverage on the Flyers Broadcast Network, and then Tuesday night they'll be in Vegas to take on the Cup champs at 11 p.m. Eastern. Let's take our time out here on the postgame show as the Flyers get the 4-1 win. We'll come back after this on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.
Flyers postgame show presented by Xfinity on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.
10 minutes max. Len.
All right. Renee Cruz on the stream says the Flyers are going to make the round robin and into the first round of the playoffs. Well, if there's going to be another pandemic, that's the only way that's going to happen.
Please no. Round robin. No, thank you. I'm done with that. We're going to play the goalie highlight.
Oh, yeah, you want to play that here?
Yeah, why not?
There was a save in the second period.
See here? Yeah. Tell him come here real quick.
Why don't you tee up the goalie thing, Bri?
They said when you turn it on, it's going to ask you to connect to a Wi-Fi network. Yeah. But don't worry about that part. Just skip it, and then it's going to take you through the authentication, whatever. You got to put in your Fedora or whatever and your password. Yep. And then everything should just populate. So if you have any issues, let me know, and we'll get them to help you out with it.
Why don't you tee up that goalie stuff?
This is locked. What's the phone number?
It's on the side.
So what if I never use this?
You don't need to. I don't use my work phone for calls either. You'll just use it for emails, and you can stream a bunch of video on it, so you don't charge your own.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Nobody wants to work on.
Yeah.
There is an app on the
Yeah. No porn on that phone.
You're locked.
How much time?
This thing watches everything we do. And you
all right.
One.
iBoss
All right, yeah, Brian, I'll call for it. He's got that other.
You're bringing it back, right?
Yeah, I'll bring it back.
Nice. What place are I haven't even looked at the standings yet this year. Where are we right now?
You're looking at the standings already?
I haven't yet, but we're third.
I haven't either.
We're tied for the lead in the East.
If the regular season ended now.
I was just noticing that, like, the Rangers lost to the Predators, and looking at the scores, it'd be a night that went our way, really.
Yeah. There's only 2 teams without a loss, right? Vegas still hasn't lost, I don't think.
Yeah, Vegas is 5-0 now.
And Colorado hadn't lost yet either, I don't think. Back live at the Wells Fargo Center, Flyers 4-1 win over the Edmonton Oilers. They outscored the opposition in this 2-game homestand by a score of 6-1. Got good goaltending, timely scoring, and good fundamental hockey. You know what fundamental hockey leads to? Fun.
Wins? Oh, fun. Oh, there you go.
Winning's fun. The last I checked, right?
Yep, absolutely.
But again, good. You know, you saw a really bad goal given up by Campbell.
Yeah.
And at such an inopportune time.
Yeah, that's so deflating to a team. I'll bet you, I don't know if Jay Woodcroft is going to come out and say it, but, he might indicate that to some extent in this post-game press conference that, when you're down, you're already down a couple of goals and you're trying to mount a third period comeback. For that to happen then is a bad time.
Yeah, it really is. And then, after Edmonton scored to make it 2-1, the next shift out, Carter made an unbelievable save to keep it at 2-1. Like, those timely saves at those points are just enormous in a game because that team is feeling it all of a sudden. And the next shift they come out, they have another good chance, and you rob them and make a good save. That's timely goaltending.
Absolutely. And we have our AAA save of the game, which came before that. And we'll tell you why we picked this one in just a second. It's going to become apparent. But Carter Hart, obviously, with a great evening, just the 1 goal against. And this is your AAA save of the game. So that's our AAA save of the game from Carter Hart. Our runner-up for, this is not even this game. We want to compare that to the following, which is Gene Hart and Bobby Taylor calling, what was it called?
Called the Pepsi Shootout.
The Pepsi Shootout in 1982, featuring a certain radio host in net. Let's have a listen to this.
Goes in. Hey! That made it look very easy as well. Martinez was beaten on the side to have this game tied at 1. This time he just took it away from Paul. That's right, Paul. Right. Ray came down, got a good shot away. Made the easy block to save. They just caught the same out as a good picture.
I always thought picking cherries you would be pulling things down, not just catching them. But I never understood the term, I guess, until now.
How old were you when that was? When that
I guess
happened?
I was 10 in 82.
Over at the Spectrum, and back then that was just a shootout thing, right? It was just penalty shots, wasn't a game, but Gene and Bobby used to call those.
They did. It was a shootout first. Mm-hmm. Each team had a like a penalty shot, and then each team had a 2-on-1, and each team had a 3-on-2, and then it went into another round of shootout. And I think we went 4 overtime rounds, and that was the semifinal. And then the final, we went 9 rounds of sudden death shootout. And in the final, we beat Tom's River 1-0. That one we beat the Glaciers out of Warminster 2-1. And the funny thing about that is the year prior, in 1981, the winning goaltender of that Pepsi shootout was none other than Mike Richter.
Oh, well, it's a good thing that you came a year later then.
Everything fell apart.
Well, if you want to see this is on YouTube, right?
Yeah, it's type in Pepsi Shootout.
Type in Pepsi Shootout, and it'll show up, and you can see what Jason looked like as a 10-year-old goaltender in 1982.
Yeah, I was not much taller than I am, or shorter than I am now, but the equipment's far different.
Yes.
Great stuff. All right, let's wrap things up here at Wells Fargo Center. We started a little late tonight. So we're home a little later than normal. Join us tomorrow on Flyers Daily. Make sure you also, by the way, go and check out Hockey and Hounds on the Flyers YouTube channel. My weekly sit-down with Flyers head coach John Tortorella. Tremendous conversation about the week in hockey, and also about how you can get involved and help out great animals in need. So Hockey and Hounds on Flyers YouTube and all your podcast services as well. Let's thank a few people before we get out here. Let's start with our on-site engineers. Engineers, as you hear. That's plural. That is Betsy Deming and Rodney Bird. Back in the studio, Matt Menard. Matt, I'm sorry. Who's on highlights again? Savannah Kelleher.
Let's give a shout out to Robert Grussman, who came out tonight.
Oh, Gruss came out tonight.
He was up there with me and Bundy.
All right, well, we don't need to get for Tim Saunders, Todd Fedoric, Robert Grussman, Brian Smith, I'm Jason Martinez. You've been listening to Philadelphia Flyers Hockey, a 4-1 win over the Edmonton Oilers on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. Have a great night, everybody.
This has been